Now we have behavioral therapist Marty Calder here to answer some of your parenting questions.
Yeah.
So we'll just start it off. The first one is, how do you set limits with your teens?
So the first thing is you've hopefully have had some limits with your preteen and your child. That's one of the things you can't, maybe your child's been great and just been this awesome kid all his life, but or her life, but usually that's not the case. So having already set some things, but one of the things you have to be is consistent and put forth the effort for whatever the issue is. So if it's like a phone issue, which is a big one for teens.
Yeah, definitely.
It's got to be things that meet the crime, I guess. So if it's like, if you're saying, all right, we've got to have limits on how much time it is or when it's used, then you got to be consistent with that for all the members of the family. Now that doesn't mean that everybody has the same limits, but there is some limits and controls there. And so that also that they can be safe, because that's why parents give teens phones usually, is like they want to know about them. So setting those that seem reasonable for the age of the child. So an older child could have a little bit more time, a younger child would be more limited.
So being like you putting your phone away at a certain time at night, you'd always want to be consistent. Like, oh, it's this time, so they're not like, oh, you're changing it on me.
Exactly. I mean, that's they get into the you become this battle over something that you really don't want to battle over. You should already establish and get their input on why that might be, why sleep patterns and those kind of things. Always help with media and that kind of thing, just because phones are such a big thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
As far as limit. And that goes with everything. If you're going to have a curfew, it's got to be reasonable and consistent. And if there's an exception, what that exception is.
That makes sense. Then on the other side of that, how do you teach your kids to be independent while still giving them these restrictions?
Right. So one of the things is you have to think like a behavioral therapist in that you're setting up scenarios for them to be successful. One of the things that happen is parents they just kind of let kids do things, and then sometimes they'll be successful and sometimes they'll fail, and usually we kind of emphasize the fail and rather than the success. So we put things together and we say, all right, here's a successful way that you can go. And the other day it was one of my clients went to see a little dinosaur thing at an event we were at. So his mom he really gets nervous about that, but she encouraged him. He had a chance to do it. It was a very limited thing. He could go get the candy and come back. And those kind of things where he could be independent, she didn't have to be.
Yeah, no, I like that. Well, thank you so much.
You bet.
If you have any questions, you can email me at cboard@kpvi.com. We can answer your questions. Thanks for coming on, Marty.
Thanks.